Welcome back to another episode of On a Mission. I'm your host, Dr. Wendy Norfleet with Norfleet Integrated Solutions. And my guest today, I have known for a long time in several different capacities. And with me today is Charles Johnston with HeartWired Digital Solutions. Welcome, Charles.
Thanks, Wendy. Appreciate it.
So, Charles, what is HeartWired?
So we are actually a full-scale marketing agency where we handle everything from websites to graphic design, logos, email marketing, social media, you name it, anything that has to do with your brand, both online as well as offline, we can handle.
So you do print or any kind? Okay.
Any kind, yep. Business cards, T-shirts, embroidery, all that kind of stuff, we can do that as well.
Okay, great. I know I've referred several people to you, and you've done an excellent job.
Appreciate it.
And I actually am working with someone new, and you're actually in the process of designing his website.
Andrew.
Yes. Because I asked him, I said, well, give me a link to your website. He said, well, Charles is working on it.
Yeah, he had told me that he had met with you, and he keeps me on track. I'll put it that way.
Okay, good. Yeah, he's driven.
Yep, absolutely.
He's an awesome person.
And I actually met him here.
Okay.
In the studio. He and I actually were the Tommy.
Right.
And that's how we ended up meeting and connecting several months ago.
Okay. And I know you've done Della's Girls of Virtue.
Girls of Virtue.
And that's a beautiful site.
And we did Lynn's.
Like Hope for Veterans.
Hope for Veterans, yep.
Yeah. So you're definitely someone that I refer people to. So.
And I appreciate every bit of it.
So tell us, when someone comes to you, how do you figure out what they need? Because sometimes I know you're probably kind of like me. Sometimes people tell you what they want, but it's really not what they need to get them to achieve the results they want.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you're aware. A lot of people, they come to with an idea of what they want, right? Mm-hmm. And most of the times they're right, but then there's those times where they are completely off base. And what we end up doing is we do what we call a discovery session, where it's 30 minutes of talking to them, and usually out of that 30 minutes, I spend probably the first 15 to 20 just talking to them, not about their business, not about what they do, to really kind of feel out what their pain points are and where their struggles are. And that's where we determine whether or not, okay, you may not actually need a full-blown new website. You may just need a little tweaking to your current messaging or something like that. And a lot of times they think they only need to slap a new logo on their website and they need a whole new branding.
Right, change the colors or something.
Because it just doesn't make sense and align with their message. And so that's and the biggest key to it for any business owner, in my opinion, is you have to listen and really have that dialogue and the communication and ask probing questions, because a lot of times they'll come to you with their preconceived notions and they really don't understand what's involved until you actually dive in. And that's what we like to do. Right.
Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know.
Absolutely.
I have clients come to me and they read things, and we all know that. Yep. They'll read something and say, well, it says I should have this. And I'm like, okay, are you doing this, this, and this? And they say, no. I said, well, you don't need that.
Nope. And they usually miss steps, right? And they think they need this, but they haven't even done the groundwork. And until you do the groundwork, it doesn't make sense to spend the money and do the extra stuff.
So do you have preformed, for lack of a better word, packages or programs? Like, say, for example, if you do a website and they want you to stay on, do you do certain fees? You're not telling me the fees, but you have certain packages for maintenance and things like that?
We do to an extent. So we obviously we build the websites and we do offer hosting and maintenance packages after that, because a lot of people, they get a website built, but then they don't know how to operate it. They don't know how to maintain it, meaning uploading images, changing the content and stuff like that. And then they have to come back to us and ask us to fix it because they broke it. And so our hosting and maintenance takes care of a lot of that, where we take care of we work primarily with WordPress, for example, and we take care of the themes, the plugins, as well as content updates on a monthly retainer.
And I'm taking it also to security certificate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Security, SSL, malware scanning. We do nightly backups and that kind of thing. We make sure that they're hosted on a reliable web host first. And I say that because there's a lot of web hosts out there that are not necessarily ones that I would choose. And
a lot of times people look at the money rather than what you're getting for.
You get what you pay for almost every single time. There's certain web hosting providers that are great for buying domain names, and that's about it, in my opinion. And to me, it's better to do your research and actually spend a little bit extra, especially when you're worried about your website, because security is key. And a lot of those other ones, they don't provide the security, or they're going to nickel and dime you for everything on top of it, versus ours all is inclusive.
Right. And I always tell people when I'm working with them, I say, okay, it's better to go to somebody who does this and also supports it, because everything will be done for you. Do you also do training? Because I know a lot of times people, I'm sure you've experienced some companies where they do have dynamic
In-house.
content.
Yep.
And so you really can't keep up with them because they really need to change it on a pretty regular basis.
We do, and we'll train them to whatever level they're comfortable with.
Okay.
And mainly because when we deliver a website, you own that website
Okay.
ultimately, and a lot of times, they will have a team of in-house, or they have another contractor that they've hired to actually handle that portion, but they don't know the platform we built on, and we're more than happy to teach them whatever they need to know.
Okay. So if you had, a piece of advice to give to someone that was coming to you, or a new, person who's in need of digital solutions, what would that advice be?
Obviously, do your research first of all, and really have an idea of who your market is, because a lot of times, and that's part of the conversation we have, is a lot of people have never really identified who their actual client is.
Okay.
And without that, we tend to do more coaching and consulting as we guide them through that path. Before we ever start a project, we spend a whole lot of time going through, figuring out who their actual client is and who they truly serve. And a lot of people, they don't ask those probing questions of their own business because they think they serve everybody, and we don't serve everybody. No one else does either. Not everyone is your client.
Right.
And also, do some thorough research on, have an idea of what your budget is, because a lot of times people think they can afford a website, and maybe you're not ready for a website.
Right. Maybe something else.
Yep. There's other alternatives out there.
Well, Charles, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And I will continue to be forwarding business to you, or
I
referring
appreciate it,
business. I think you do an awesome job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Please go to norfleetsolutions.com to learn more about Charles and HeartWired Digital Solutions. And we'll see you next time on Buzz TV.